To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Moment of silence. Please be seated. Citizen concerns. Pat, I got to tell you before you start, Mr. Palello is out on medical leave, has been since last week. That's why he hadn't called you in the last week.
Okay, can I still say what I want to say?
Sure.
Okay. Chrysler, K-R-E-I-S-L-E-R, 1444 210th Street, just east of Sergeant Bluff. I was here a couple of weeks ago today to address the board on a zoning ordinance violation and the lack of response from Mr. John Palello on that issue. At that time, you advised me that John Palello would be contacting me the next day. On the 1st of October, I sent you an email saying that John Palello had still not contacted me. You responded the next day by saying that it had been a crazy week and that you had talked with him and that he would be contacting with me. I did respond to your email the next day asking you what should be my next recourse and that I would like to resolve this issue in-house. You have not replied. That's why I'm here again today. I'm going to read the email that I sent to you so that everybody will know what I'm talking about. Mr. Monson, and this was last Thursday, the 8th of October. I came to see you today, but you were not in your office at the courthouse. The reason I visited is because I was hoping you would help me obtain answers from John Palello. Number one, why is he ignoring me? Number two, what steps has he taken or not taken to enforce the zoning ordinance violation in regards to Mr. McRoberts? Number three, why on earth is it taking so long to enforce the zoning ordinance violation? My original complaint was filed over 16 months ago. I'm not going to give up. Please help. As I said in my last email to you, I would like to resolve this issue in-house, but I will not wait forever. I've waited well over a year. Truth be told, I feel like you are ignoring me as well. That is very disheartening. My husband and I have faithfully paid taxes to Woodbury County for 20 years. All we are asking is that Woodbury County enforce its own zoning ordinance and treat its citizens with respect by responding to their requests in a timely manner. Please respond. Thank you. And I still haven't heard from you.
As soon as he gets back, I'll drive out there with him, come see you.
I was asking for a reply from you, sir.
Well, but he's the one that has to do the paperwork stuff.
I understand that.
As soon as he can get that done, we'll get this taken care of.
Okay,
I
but
don't know
I
how to
had
do
asked
that.
for a reply from you.
Well,
And all you had to say was he's out on medical leave. But I feel like I'm being ignored. And you said you had talked to him. What did he say to you?
He was working on it. He was trying to get some things done before he called you.
He told me that last April.
We're not doing well with you, are we?
No. He told me that his staff had been out to the McRoberts house, had taken photographs, and that I'm not sure what you call it, the paperwork was being prepared to send to McRoberts. Now, this was last April. And when I emailed him several times between April and now, I got nothing from him. Nothing. So I'm thinking he did nothing last April. I'm thinking he lied to me.
I can't tell you whether you did or didn't.
I think he did. And I'm tired of being treated with disrespect by him and the county.
As soon as he gets back, we'll be out to see you.
You don't have to come see me.
I would like to.
just get rid of Mick Roberts and his trucks. All he has to, I don't care. If he builds a big building out there to house his trucks, like the zoning ordinance says to, fine. He can run his trucks up and down the road. But he hasn't done that. And neither has he taken his trucks to an industrial area where they should be anyway.
Yeah.
And this has been, my original complaint, like I said, was filed June of last year. So I think I've been really patient, and I'm not patient anymore.
We'll get back to you. That's all I can tell you.
I hope it's soon.
It will be.
When's he coming back?
I'm not sure.
Is there anybody in his office that might know anything?
He's a one-man deal.
Okay.
All right, we'll get back to you.
Thank you. If nothing can be done, maybe somebody else from the board can step up to the plate and get this issue resolved, so I don't have to keep coming up here in order to get an answer.
We'll get it done.
Thank you.
All right. Anyone else? Need a motion to approve the agenda?
Move to approve the agenda dated October 13th, 2015.
Second?
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Approval of minutes, October 6, 2015.
Move approval of the minutes dated October 6th, 2015.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Discussion and approval of claims. Need a motion.
Move approval of claims.
Need a second? Second. Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Need approval of memorandum of personnel transactions. I'll send it around. Need a motion?
Move it.
Second?
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Presentation of the lithograph.
Yes, we have a gentleman here, Gary Stevenson, who put together the lithograph of the Constitution for the county, and he has that to present to the board.
Let's don't take the chance. Let's don't take the chance.
Wow.
I just wanted to start out by thanking the board, the 2015 board. I actually initially was here in 2011 when I was doing counties down the Missouri River, and it took a while, but we got it done. And just so you know, this will be the 68th courthouse in 67th county that I've had the privilege to finish in here in Iowa. And with my father and the three others we finished with, now we're at 96 out of the 96 courthouses out of the 100 in the county, and 95 out of the 99 counties. And I have 3 to finish, and there's a county south, Sioux County. For some reason, I got an email this past March, and they declined to hang it in the courthouse. And but anyway, I just wanted to thank the board, and real quickly, it says it's presented in October 2015 to the Woodbury County Courthouse, proudly donated by members of the Board of Supervisors. And under there it says, dedicated to the men and women of Woodbury County who have served, are serving, and will serve the United States Armed Forces and Reserve, along with their families. And I've kind of pleased the way this plaque come out. It really, you can probably, and I wanted to thank Ed and Tanya at the Human Resources, and I want to thank Karen and Heather, and then Mark for getting this done. And also I got a check from Matthew while he was on vacation, but we got everything put together, and I'm actually heading in the morning. I'm finishing up Winona County in Minnesota. I've finished 3 counties in Minnesota now. But I've, just real quick, this print was printed in 1934. I found out just recently, this was because I have a critic who's an art blogger in Florida that wrote an article to the Kelowna newspaper in 2012, in October 2012, that I didn't know about, saying the Supervisors, this wasn't a lithograph, it wasn't from 1934. And so they printed it, it's on the internet. So one of my guys in Minnesota looked it up, and so I had to prove it was real and it was fake until I proved it real. But anyway, I found out from a gentleman, I got the 7-page processing of how this was printed, but this was printed for the 1933-1934 World's Fair in Chicago. And it was done, it's a lithographic process, and it was done by the Constitution Educational Association, and as this print says, it's edited by Harry Atwood, and he wrote some books. He was a constitutional scholar, wrote some books, and he was a libertarian, went around giving speeches, and I found out he was poisoned in a dinner in Chicago in 1930. And when FDR come along, and one of his planks in his 1932 campaign was end of Prohibition. They thought they would jumpstart the economy because of the Great Depression. And so he took office I think it was in February of 1933. He took office in early of 33, and he was down in Miami, and a gentleman, I know his first name was Giuseppe, but he fired 5 shots at the president, but he killed the mayor of Chicago. This was down in Miami. His name was Cermak. And supposedly, I found out that this gentleman, Cermak, it was supposedly one of Al Capone's henchmen or something. Al Capone was getting put away in prison at the time for tax evasion. And but there's reasons why this gentleman says that this was not printed or was not given out at the World's Fair, and they were stuck in a warehouse in Chicago. He said it was printed in the same black Gothic face that the German newspapers that supported Hitler at the time. And this was, like I said, this 1933, 1934. So the printing was like that, and the Prohibition required an amendment to repeal the 18th Amendment, and the print would have been obsolete shortly, but they did include the 21st Amendment on this. And then by saying that FDR was the assassin's target, which they did at the time, they said, instead of the murder of the mayor, they said it was an assassination attempt by FDR, and they said it would attack on the Constitution and by overseas governments. Perhaps the print would recall tragedy with Harry Atwood, so they stuck it in a warehouse, put him away, and I've just been in contact the last month with a state lawyer for the gentleman who found these prints in 1987 and owns them. They're looking for a purchaser. They have the original wooden crate of these, and they have 5,000 of these prints.
Wow.
And I am now in the process of working with a national veterans group to maybe purchase these and then do what I did, but do it on a national scale. There's 3,700 counties in the country and over 5,000 prints, and they're the original. And they could probably, I pay $150 for one of these prints that I get, because the gentleman alone might add $15,000 for 200, didn't he? But this gentleman actually called me up before he passed away and now offered me prints for $75 a piece. But so I'm looking see if we can't do it on a national basis and have a veterans group and then make money. But I wanted to thank you again, and I don't want to take much of your time, but I just wanted to thank you and I just do it for 2 things, and that's to remind people of the Constitution, our foundation, and then also this is to honor the county veterans. And I want to personally thank the county veterans, and even though there's nobody here to thank, but and I appreciate the board and your time. And
Thank you,
and
Gary.
I'm
We
going
appreciate
to,
you too.
I actually was coming back from Blue Earth, Minnesota to pick this up in Rowan, Iowa, and I went down Highway 69 and I stopped in Forest City, Waldorf College, but it's the county seat of Winnebago County, and I went into their courthouse and I walked up the stairs, and on the wall there was the one my dad did from 1992, and I swear it looked like they just hung it that day. I mean, it looked that good 23 years later. So I'm hoping in 2038 or whenever, they'll come in here and look at it, and it'll look the same. So again, thank you, and I appreciate it.
Thank you.
And I don't know what you can do about this railroad train. I was stuck for 40 minutes. And I'm sitting there, well, and then all the locals were going around down there and going over the bridge or whatever, and I'm just sitting there, and looking at my watch. It'd roll a little bit, and it'd stop, and then and I'm saying,
I think we've all experienced it.
And it says it don't look like it's soybeans or corn. I said it looked like gravel, and then there's some. Then they have big rocks in them. I think. But then I'd drive a little bit more, and I'm looking. I got here at like 20 minutes to 4. I said, plenty of time. I can get in here, park, and come. And then I'm sitting there going, I got 10 minutes to get there now. So, well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Gary.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay, need a motion to receive the Commission of Veterans Affairs Quarterly Report.
Move to receive.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Approval of resolution.
Excuse me, the last item was action. Is there anything we need to do to receive
Uh-oh. Representation with the need a motion to accept the lithograph.
Accept the lithograph.
Need a second? Second. Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Now, Board Administration, approval resolution for a tax suspension for SB. Move it. Need a second?
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. County Auditor, approval and consideration and approval for liquor license for Chet's Mobile Market.
So moved.
Need a second? Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Yes. What are we at? We need to go to 10C. Receive and consider bids for the PCC patching.
Thank you. Mark Nara, Woodbury County Engineer. We have a set time for PCC patching on various roads throughout the county. We have 2 bidders.
Thanks.
The first one is Cedar Falls Construction, Waterloo, Iowa. I think you're gonna have to consider allowing your county engineer to carry a knife because this one is glued. The letter opener won't touch it. We have a properly submitted bid bond. Total price for the patching, $122,840.50. 122-840-50. Second quotation is from 10 Point Construction of Denison, Iowa. Also with a properly submitted bid bond. Total bid price, $94,650, 94650.
You need to look those over.
I don't know that we do. It's pretty obvious as you go down the line items that they've beaten them on all but one, which is patches by count, and the cost difference is not enough to throw the bids even with an overrun.
this to be done for the snowflies?
Yes, it is. I would like to go ahead and get it awarded and get them started as soon as possible. So I would recommend award of the bids to 10 Point Construction of Denison, Iowa, with an estimated cost of $94,650.
Need a motion? Second?
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Consideration of permits to work within the highway right-of-way for CenturyLink to relocate fiber optics.
We have two permits. Both of these are connected with the 4-lane Highway 20 project. The first one is from Minnesota Avenue to Correctionville. With relocation, they're crossing our intersections at a number of locations. That's the primary reason they're coming to the Board of Supervisors for approval.
Need a
recommend
motion?
approval.
So moved.
Need a second?
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay.
There are three permits here tagged for the chair's signature. The next one we have is also connected with the 4-lane Highway 20 project. This is from the east side of Correctionville to the Woodbury-Ida County line, where they're also placing new fiber optic on the south side of the road, doing work out into our right-of-ways as part of the relocation. Recommend approval.
Need a motion?
Second.
This isn't gonna cause any problems down the road.
I don't believe it should, Larry. They're going back well out of our right-of-way because all these intersections are changing their elevations. They're going to be some fairly heavy construction on our side roads. The majority of this work, again, is within the DOT right-of-way. Where our permits are concerned is where they're crossing our roads. I've looked through the permits. They're already occupying our right-of-way. The new locations are not detrimental to our road use. One of the things that we're able to put in front of CenturyLink with these is that anywhere they are working with us, they need to not place their cables on top of our culverts. We've had a lot of trouble with that where we go out to replace a culvert or do work on it and we've got a fiber optic cable sagging over the top. So this gives us the opportunity to add that note to the plans to make sure that those problems don't happen again. So I look at this as an opportunity to get some corrections on some problems we have had out there.
And if counties would break these, are we liable or are they liable?
We are liable if we break any communication or electrical cable. If we're negligent by not having a locate, if the locator misses it, then the utility would be liable. But if it's marked and we hit it, then it is our problem out there in the field. We do have a couple per year where mistakes are made digging around, or we had one, we require a 3-foot minimum depth for the lines below ditch depth with telecommunication line. Our guys actually got one that was only 6 inches. You know, it was located correctly, but he figured he had one swipe of the bucket before he had to worry about catching the line. But when it's only 6 inches deep, it's pretty hard not to catch.
Who pays for that?
In that case, we're still required to check the depth of the line because they don't give us depth, they only give us line. And that's one of those where we say, oh nuts, and we have had to pay for some of those repairs. We work very well with Whitel and some of our locals. Those folks come out even on less than 24-hour notice and give us locates. And they also provide us some depth data generally too. So we have had more issues with some of these others. Part of it is they've been done by contractors. I think sometimes those guys are more keen on production than hitting the right depth. So we try to take advantage of the communication through the permit process to remind them they need to get them down at depth, remind them that they don't go over top of our culverts, and to try to make the point that they need to be properly installed so that they don't cause us a maintenance headache in the future.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Thank you, sir. I'm guessing, Ed, you'd like to speak.
We do have some concern with some recent events starting at the state level with the contracting of the managed care organizations. This is going to have a pretty good-sized impact on social services in that current department. We do have a number of people that have resigned and have moved on to work for the MCOs themselves. And it appears that as of December 31st, that our case management load will be complete. We will no longer have a case management load. I think this is a big concern. We've got employees that could be impacted by this. We still have 6 case managers on payroll that have not applied, and as well as some people that are considered part answering to Woodbury County and part to the region. So we would like to begin to address that and begin to make plans there. We don't have all the plans in place yet, but I think that as we find out more, we have to send a letter to DHS as one example that would let DHS know that within 30 days we will no longer be able to provide services potentially. We hope to be able to provide them through December 31st, but if we have no case managers, it's going to be hard to provide those services. And obviously we can't hire new case managers at this point. Are there questions that you guys have?
Probably, but it's hard to exactly understand it and then ask an intelligent question. But this is what you were talking to us about, Teresa, that this was coming down. So I guess you do have to make some exit plans for your personnel, the building. I don't know what that.
There's a lot of potential impact. Some possible reshuffling of people. We do have some openings. One of the things that we talked about earlier today was possible job openings for people. We do have some good job openings that a couple of the people would qualify for. So we've sent those on to at least one of the secretaries, and we'll include more information. We also wanted to talk about the energy cap credit, how that might affect some of the affected employees, the position there. Certainly the building's an issue, the use thereof. So there are a number of things to talk about.
Well, this is definitely going to affect services, especially in the short term. How many case managers are we down? 6?
We're
right
down
now?
5 right
5?
now.
So do you divvy out those? What happens to those caseloads? Do you know yet?
We've made a considerable.
Please come forward. They'll be watching on YouTube and they'll not hear you.
Yeah, sorry. We have referred about 130 on to DHS case management, and they are willing to take them.
Immediately? Does that happen like right away
November.
or November?
They're going to take for sure 25 of ours that are out of the Sioux City area. And then they're going to look at the 106 left over and see how many they can take on. So our caseload for 2 months will be high until they can hire. They're going to hire more case managers. They feel confident that they might get a contract with one of the MCOs. They might have information we don't know.
DHS does?
They're going to hire more case managers to take over our caseloads.
I thought they were looking at a layoff as well.
Not what she told me today. I had a conference call with them.
Right hand doesn't know what the left hand's doing again.
No.
I don't think either hand knows what they're doing.
No.
This is just completely out of our control, too.
Out of our control, yes. It's unfortunate.
And I talked to you earlier today. The energy cap, that's not going to work because that's not going to come online until what, August or?
The what?
We're talking about that as a solution to utilize one of the employees to work with the energy cap program.
Well, this revelation is this week, so need some time.
Need some time to look at that. We also talked about bumping and how that might work. With the unions, there are provisions for, with the CWA contract and the ASME contract to bump. There is no such provision with the wage plan. I reviewed those, everything in the employee handbook and emailed a copy of that to you today. So there is no bumping that would go on with the any of the people that are there.
I don't think the case managers are in a real bind because either the managed care will pick them up or DHS.
Hopefully, DHS will look at them when hiring.
So they're fairly safe as you can be in not knowing what's going on. It's basically the two other ones that.
Two secretaries.
Yep.
And that's why we're wondering about the energy cap as one potential. I'm sorry. That's why we were concerned with why we were considering whether the energy cap data entry, that type of thing, would be something that the person who was part-time could look at as helping to fill the other hours. We're looking at basically 16 hours a week that needs to be filled.
Was that energy cap always thought of as needing extra staff to do that? I mean, were we going to have to hire someone to anyway, or is this?
I think there was strong concern that this would be a time-consuming piece, and I know building services expressed concern that they wouldn't have the people to be able to handle all of that data.
I remember that, and they did say maybe the board office could help, but I guess at that point in time, at least on my radar, it wasn't that this would increase staff costs to input numbers. But I understand you're trying to.
And Jean, maybe you can help me with this. We had one of the people from social services was partly from social services and partly from the board. The piece of the social services was not part of the region. They were not assigned to the region, as I remember, so that was kind of. Would that be better? Patty, would that be correct? The person that was part-time there in your area, they were not considered to be part of the region. Rather, they were just, so that was, yes.
I think one of the ideas too with energy cap was we don't know what we don't know. In the sense,
absolutely.
In the sense that how data intensive it is going to be for Renee Pettigrew and building services versus doing some of the sharing of load, possibly with another board administrative employee. So I think that's part of the flux in that. So while it didn't necessarily require a half FTE, so to speak, it was something that I think was on the table looking at.
Yeah, and we'd be talking about trying to pick up 16 hours. And again, Jean, please correct me, or Patty, please correct me where I'm wrong, but my understanding is these are not mental health dollars that she's currently paid with. So it's just shifting some duties rather than adding dollars. Or am I missing?
Where is she paid out of now?
Case management.
Oh, it's reimbursement. Okay, so scratch
So
that
it would
idea.
switch over to tax dollars to pick up the other.
And it would be 16 hours. Now, and the benefits, are they paid, they're paid by through the other position, is that correct? The benefits are as well. A portion.
Yeah, the 40%.
Jeremy, Supervisor Taylor, when we talked about energy cap, I don't think we thought it was going to be taking anywhere near 16 hours a week.
Yeah, I think at that point, we didn't know if that was something that would be,
there's
based on building services secretary, if that was something that was.
There's going to be an initial setup that was going to be extensive, but after that, I don't think it's going to take near that amount of time.
Yeah.
Okay, certainly something.
Well, it's a mess.
So basically, the county is out of social services altogether. I mean, the region does mental health, case management now will be, is that state? Is that how you think of that?
MCOs in the state.
Yeah, the MCOs, the state would be doing the case management, we would be done.
Some MCOs are hiring their own. Some are contracted.
Things can change quickly, can't they?
And paying them well.
Yes, the MCO.
Yes.
Yeah, that is one of the really bright spots. So that people are getting significant raises by going to the MCOs.
What's the qualifications? Just
I'll let you know.
let me know.
Well, I have a feeling we'll be visiting on this again.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else under reports?
I have three of them. Sorry.
Oops. No, I was gonna ask Denny, that reminded me, that energy cap, did you find out anything there?
On the energy cap, basically what is 16,000 some odd dollars. The 11,000 the county's paying out gaming revenues is a setup for it. The almost 5,000 will be budgeted out of building services. We're gonna amend his budget this year, and then he ought to add it into his building services budget in the future.
Is there a dollar figure?
Oh yeah, around 11,300.
No, I'm talking about after the first year.
Oh, the license, I think is right close to 5,000 a year.
Okay, Jeremy?
Safety and security meeting, and just thought I'd distribute the meeting minutes. The frequency of meetings is good according to Sheriff Drew. Meeting quarterly fulfills the needs. There were only 2 incidents to report. One, a gentleman running out of oxygen, needing assistance, and the other, an inebriated message that was left and not quite understood. There's some guidance on policy that I won't read verbatim, but there is a policy the sheriff has on directive manuals and records dissemination. There's a 2-year retention policy where they keep all camera footage either from the jail or from the body cameras. And they reiterated that the Board of Supervisors is the ultimate authority over courthouse security. Regarding safe rooms, Sheriff advised that he's not a proponent of safe rooms, and so my understanding is we'll look to implement the Save Yourself method post-January 1st of 2016, and so they will need some direction as regards the time and date. There is also taser training that they received, and I believe one of the gentlemen who was tased upstairs, believe he saw the good Lord, and it was quite the experience. Obviously, you may have seen the good news story in the Sioux City Journal, but I thought this was very good. Major Wick said to reiterate to staff, if you have a bad feeling about something or someone, it's not a bother. They would rather be getting that information and be knowing what's going on. I also thought that this would be good, and I haven't followed up on this, but the elevator programming, there is a program wherein they can go directly to a certain floor during an emergency situation, but that should probably be added to the scope of the work. In other words, if they need to go directly to the 5th floor, they don't want to be stopped by the 2nd and the 3rd and the 4th floor individuals pushing the button. For special events, letting courthouse security know of special events is important. Thanksgiving, there's a collaboration versus confrontation. Native American gathering, there's a Veterans Day. So if there's anything that's going to happen, they'd like to be kept abreast of that. Trosper Hoyt, they discussed the Boost program now utilizing that space, and they probably need some guidance at DHS because as they close up shop, there are certain individuals who try to go in to get forms and so on. And then Judge Hoffmeyer reported they're pleased with court security and the support there, and discussed the phone system policy. And then there was an extensive discussion about a bottleneck in the visiting room where attorneys cannot always get into the jail timely to show video footage to inmates and are relegated to utilizing transport personnel. So we may explore partitioning just a room for just such a purpose. And then I asked about, early on in our safety and security meetings, they had talked about having an ID that would show a picture and give the person's first name and act as a fob, and it sounds like that can be done without a whole lot of cost. So that's something that Major Wick's going to explore. So
Very good. Anyone else?
And then I had a couple more.
Hey.
Veterans Affairs wanted, in their minutes, they wanted to thank the board for the reception last week. And having them in, so I thought that was very good. And then the final one is on TrueSpeak. I just wanted to follow up. I had asked the chair to distribute at the department head meeting a couple of memos to department heads and elected officials. And basically the first one, and it's written in the form that we learned that day, the first one is to express appreciation. We had a good training. 9 people volunteered out of the 30 to become trainers themselves, and just let them know that their participation made the training enjoyable. The presenter commented several times that this is a great group, and there was a lot of energy, and people taking time away from their normal department duties showed a commitment to the county, and an understanding that we all come from varying levels of training, and it's a challenge to sometimes be on the same page. Let them know that my understanding is our chair will let those individuals know we're going to train
Yes.
the trainer November 2nd to 4th. And then the follow-up is just a way that we can have our county leaders start to implement this. And in doing so, she specified that this really should be done for positive communication for the first 3 months. That this isn't the new way to write people up, but this is something to engender growth. And so a system wherein they'll CC our chair and Ed to let them know that that's being done can be implemented.
Okay. Board concerns, comments. I am working with Tom McBride to move November 18th. I got a lot of return mail on that one. That happens to be the first day of ISAC. We're looking at a couple Monday evenings in November, or maybe even moving it to December. He has a council meeting tonight, and he's going to check. We had a piece of marble fall in courtroom 203, which is pretty scary. If you go up there and look, you can see daylight. And there's rumor that there's a pigeon living in there. Has a nest. So the windows around that piece of marble are not, I think they're bowing out. And I believe Kenny had Mike Neswick in to take a look at it, and we're going to figure out where we are with that. That's pretty scary. And we need to look at the rest of the building. If we have openings that are allowing water into closed areas, and a lot of the damage in there is rust, we need to start looking, because that's pretty scary. Other than that, Jeremy and I met with Salix this morning. There's a packet in your folder upstairs outlining what they would like to do. And we'll get back to you on that later. Anyone else?
And the courthouse, we've used the Erickson firm out of Des Moines.
Yes, Ed and Kenny are lining that up, but he had Neswick come over for the immediate, because that window, if it's bowing out, needs to be shored up at a minimum.
It's probably out that far, which doesn't seem like a lot, but it's an inch and a half from where you can see where the caulk line was, and it moved from the caulk line over past the edge of the marble, which is why the marble crashed. And it has to be at least an inch and a half out in the middle from where it was originally. And like you were saying, you can look up and you can see the rust, and you can see some of the wood that's kind of decayed in there. It's I don't know what it would take to knock the window out, but it doesn't look like it'd take a lot.
What courtroom is that?
203.
South side, and south side west.
Really?
Yes, yeah, there was evidence of movement in the others. The one, there was no evidence, but you can see some movement. People, the caulk almost broken already. So, you know, that tells you that something's happened and it's not good. So that it doesn't look like, it's not in nearly as bad shape. There's not the immediate fear, but there's been some movement.
Kenny, he's got a boatload full of work to do. He's got a busy schedule. Yeah. Anyone else?
I have one thing. Is there any sentiment to have any of the other boards and commissions come in? I thought it was very nice. And I think your wife should make egg rolls for every single one because they're really good.
I'll let her know.
They're really good.
Okay.
Well, then he brought him back the next day for somebody else.
I think it'd be a great idea. Larry had mentioned it. Whoever wants to go next would be great. I think it's good, and it's, you know, a lot of times we don't know who the various boards are if we don't sit on them. So I think it'd be good.
I'd say as you go to them, I
Yep.
don't really have any, but next time you go, just invite them in and arrange a time for them to come in.
Get my wife to fix fried chicken. No, I don't think, I better not do that. She might not like me. Anyone else? If not, take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Let's go home.